Hello there and welcome. In this video I have 7 tips which will guide you through summoning builds for the Architect culture. I will introduce my personal favorite of the build here, but in all honesty there are many variants that you can play with that. Since the Architect culture is so versatile, to pick up any affinity they want, you can take this summoning build and take the elementals that you pick, take the colors that you pick, and see your way through it. The variant that I play here, this begins number 1, the build summary, is a variant that utilizes Astral and Order. This is, at the first glance, an odd choice, but it is a burst and support heavy build that really does a good job at being very hard to kill, having good access to the enemy backlines, having good frontline with the cultural own units, good damage over the board. I found it really hard to beat and wanted to share it with you. But that being said, the wonderful thing about this build is, since the culture of the architects is so good at summoning, you can take any form of elementals, you can mix and match whatever feels good for you. I would though recommend to stick to evocation, but more about that later. So let's talk, number 2, about racial and cultural traits. So on the body traits, I really discovered that elves work excellent for this build. So if you don't want to concoct your own mixture, elves have arcane focus, the majority of your damage dealing is magic, and keen-sighted is really good for your ranged attackers. Shy eyes, it's okay, I don't like it too much, you could exchange that. I want to emphasize that this build would work excellent with mounts, as some of your key units are mounted, and alone unicorns are massive. Or alternatively, formation fight is a pretty good thing too. Take overwhelm tactics for more critical hits, or defensive tactics to boost up the defensive qualities, to take more advantage out of your massive buffing game. There's plenty of options. Choose whatever feels good for you. I like to say that the body traits reflect a lot your own playstyle and preferences, and there's many ways to achieve benefit here. On the cultural trait side, though, I found mana channelers to be almost a must-have. If we are a summoning-centric culture, there's almost too much goodness in this. The reduction of mana in summoning spells goes a long way through the entirety of the game. Since we are summoning units from tier 1 up to tier 4, sometimes even tier 5 depending on where you go with this build, you will feel this reduction everywhere. And the bonus experience is really useful too. I'm going to show you in the Imperium chapter of this video exactly why. So mana channelers, I wouldn't recommend to swap it out. The other one that I chose here is talented collectors. This is useful for the architects in any scenario. It is also a Pantheon unlock, so it might be not available for you if you are not that far down the tree yet, but it is also very much an optional thing. The nice part about the talented collectors thing is that you start with a magic material nearby and you get a little bit more production for the magic materials. But in all honesty, this is played best with a Materium focused path, which allows you to crank out lots and lots of magic materials. This is just a good guarantee to have some income of Wonderstone, because you have just guaranteed one source of magic material in your vicinity. That being said, other good traits here are everything that cuts down your mana budget in any way, or anything that helps you to booster up the quality of your cities. Choose to your own liking. I feel like talented collectors, though, is a really honorable mention in any scenario, because monuments are just so darn important for these guys. So let's move on to number 3. Let's talk tomes. So first up, as a disclaimer, once you took evocation, you have pretty much a good assortment there. You could swap it out. You could also go for something like Pyromancy and Faith, or Pyromancy and Roots. I see many different variants. The thing is, elemental summons are pretty nice for you, as they are evolving units, and I can recommend them. My variant works with Evocation as the first tome. We're going to introduce that in the longer run. Feel free to drop me in the comment section what you did out of this idea. Evocation brings you lesser storm spirits. They pretty much replace your Earthbreakers. The fun part about lesser storm spirits is that they are much better protected against ranged attacks than your Earthbreakers, and eventually when they evolve, they gain a massive benefit in terms of mobility, and they really hit like a truck. Altogether, they are replaceable, available, and I have the ability to turn into something better if you take them through the evolution phase. Really good stuff. The Evokers are a good addition to your roster because naturally the Architects lack a Battle Mage unit, and the Evoker is really everything you could wish for. And there's a little bit more to demand for, but it's just a tier 2 unit. What's pretty nice is they have a solid base attack, they have even a little AoE in it, and yeah, nothing wrong about that. With Lightning Focus, we enhance our supporters and our battle mages. With Lightning Blades, we can add up a lot of oomph into everything on our front line. Enough said. Fulmination and Lightning Torrent are two spells you won't be having the resources to use them that much, because you will be using your mana and your battle cast points most of the time for either buffing, healing, or summoning. So sometimes they can be useful, but I didn't find them to be that important for this kind of build than with others. The Channeling Tower is really cool if you can bring it up. It's a conduit province, it brings mana. What's not to like about that? The other tier 1 for this variant of the build is Tome of Faith. It has been reworked now to contain a elemental unit. The Lesser Light Spirit is our summonable supporter. He is much better at direct healing than our cultural supporter, and transforms also into something bigger eventually. Staves of Mending, though, is the real power card in this tome. This skill does give us a touch heal on all of our troops. Eventually, our cultivators and their light spirits have immense healing power with that alone. Faithful Whispers gives you some dominance about free cities. It's really, really good. It allows you to get the allegiance with free cities much faster than the enemy could, and this little spell has a lot of power hidden in it. And the Convent is also something that I need to point out. It is so good for the architects. High city stability is really easy to achieve due to monuments. Monuments crank out a lot of happiness, and yeah, you just get a good benefit out of that. As with the Abbey, I really love this as a research post province that you can put wherever you want it to, and it even synergizes with bombs. It's really cool. There's a lot of goodness in this tome, and Wrath of the Faithful, here I let it out together with Army Heal again. These active spells, I don't find them to be that important for our build. So, on the tier 2 side, I strongly recommend Scrying. I tried out Summoning, it is okay, but Scrying I think is much, much better. Several reasons. For one, Scrying has been buffed. Guided Projectiles is now more useful than before, and the Tower of True Sight is finally a useful city building. It now yields resources that we really want to have, city stability and knowledge, and the vision range is not bad at all. Also, camouflage, discovery, why not? The Watcher, though, is what I really feel like for this summoning build is shining very, very hard. This is one hell of a battle mage that has a really heavy nuke with a stun, and it is available for you once you have that wizard tower down. Mental Mark, also a really, really good spell to soften up priority targets. So altogether, Tome of Scrying is my recommendation. Summoning, on the other hand, gives you a lot more supportive skills. The Astral Keeper is a good healer, you have Arcane Restoration, and you have buffing skills with Arcane Supercharge. And the Astral Serpent deserves an honorable mention. It is a really, really annoying frontliner. Really hard to kill, very mobile, pretty good bursty skills. It's up to you. I would still recommend Scrying. The real benefit of the Summoning Tome is that you get another Conduit province, so you are at 2 Conduit provinces that can boost each other, so your magical capacities are really, really good on that variant. Now, the other tier 2 on the Order side that I recommend for this build is Inquisition. Inquisition has been buffed tremendously, and now we have a lot of tools in this build. First up, the Lightbringer. You might think now, Icon, this is the 3rd battle mage on this build. But hear me out. The thing about the Lightbringers is they convert things. Their direct attack condemns things, minus status resistance. Your cultivators have a debuff that is called status vulnerability. So altogether, architects are so good at converting people that Lightbringers become stupidly powerful. Their convert only needs 1 action point, and you can soften up the enemy's vulnerabilities so tremendously that, yeah, there's a real synergy. But we're only getting started here. The Tribunal is excellent, city stability, and the knowledge per population is for the architects again a nice thing because you tend to build really large cities. More about that in the strategy part. The Inquisitor is a nice tier 3 hybrid. They are much more useful than they were ever before. The Bolt of Judgment, which was their old ranged attack, is still there, which stuns people, but they now have a crossbow that they can use every turn. So that really makes them so much more useful, and not to forget about their pretty devastating melee strike. Quite squishy, but yeah, that's their life. Inquisitor's Mark also upgrades your ranged attackers tremendously. You have those shade makers that live a little bit of a bad life in your army. Now they are at least debuffers, but it's a nice thing too. But the real stars here are the Lightbringer, the Tribunal, and the Inquisitor, with the Tithe Collector being a nice add-on, but yeah, I don't find it too important. On the tier 3 side of things, let's remain with the Order. I love to pick for this build specifically Sanctuary. For one, we get the direct access to the tier 3 light spirits, so we are not relying on evolutions anymore. These guys are badass, such good healing. They can teleport, they have a nice snacky attack. I really like these guys a lot. And you get tools to make your cities harder to beat, also more city stability via healing spires. You get unit enchantments that make your frontliners harder to kill. Very good, because our frontline is mostly tier 2 or tier 3 squishy. That's really nice. And yeah, the rest is just good for cementing further our strategy. The other tier 3 for this build, when we head back to the astral things, is definitely teleportation. You could also go for amplification, nothing wrong with that. It amps up the qualities of your battle mages and your ranged attackers in general, but I personally find teleportation so much better because the face beasts are the tier 4 shock units we've been dreaming about. They basically replace your storm elementals if you can afford them, and all the other tools in here, emergency teleportation, mass recall, these are so good. Phasing enchantment gives your backliners a teleport away skill. Astral Trade Relay gives you so much more gold. Chronogates give you teleporter provinces that actually gain resources. It's just so good. I mean, amplification ain't bad either. I can't really say that it is a bad choice, but I find it also not the best choice. When we head towards tier 4, you have a lot of different options. I personally find it extremely appealing to head all in to Order because I dislike the tier 4 Astral Tomes so much, and pick up Exaltation for those juicy shrines of smiting, so you have big tier 5s, and then you can decide for yourself if you want to go for the Tome of the Archon, which has lots of good things in it too, or even for Tome of Supremacy. There's so much goodness in the Order tree in the high end for us. I can wholeheartedly recommend it, and you will have the affinity to get there because you will have exactly the 6 points of affinity the moment you hit the tier 3 with the Sanctuary Tome. So that's the tomes we run. There's lots of variations here possible. This variant specifically is very robust and very bursty. That's why I like it. So number 4, let's talk Army and Combat. So when we look at our roster at disposal here, I have a lot of shock troopers, and mixed in between lots of backliners that shoot and lots of supporters. The idea here is that you can go for like more 60% backliners and 40% frontliners, or even a different distribution, because you can conjure elementals directly into combat. This allows you to produce frontliners when you need them, and with Resilient Incarnation, you have the ability to really make your units very hard to kill, and you have a lot of supporters. In short, you can afford, with this setup, to be a little bit more on the ranged side in the baseline, because you can keep them alive well, and you can spawn new units as needed. So, let's go quickly over your roster and what everybody means for you. The Cultivators are long-term healers, and they also can inflict status vulnerability, like I said. They are good at the beginning of the game. Together with Light Elementals, they keep your units alive splendidly. Earthbreakers, like I said, they can be pretty much ignored because the only thing that they really excel at is the incarnate fortitude that they have, which brings them more HP eventually, but I would always prefer a storm elemental over that. The tier 2 is where things get interesting. The Guardians are your bread and butter frontliners. The abilities of theirs are Incarnate Disruption and Incarnate Retaliation, make them go really ham if the enemy is daring to attack them. Combine these with Cultivators, so they get a little bit more of the Astral Incarnate rank, and they already frontline really, really well. One Guardian, one Cultivator, hell of a combo already. The Shademakers in this build specifically, they are a little bit bad off. But the beneficial thing is the Incarnate shot is bringing a chance to debuffing them, and once they have the Inquisitor mark, they become more useful. But I would say it is okay to entirely forego them for this build and go all into battle mages and supporters instead, because they just can't compete with what we do with all the other units. You know, just take the Evoker as a comparison. They hit much harder, they have so much better utility with their AoE. It's altogether just easy to ignore the Shademakers for this build and call it a day. They are good for other variants. The Guardians are a way to go for your tier 2. And once we hit tier 3, the Architects are really nice dudes, as they shred resistances, which makes again status vulnerability apply, you see. This is also status resistance shredding, and they have an insane healing ability depending on the amount of monuments at your disposal, and they summon turrets that shoot for you. Altogether, these guys are really one hell of a unit and can be seen like that. Whenever you can, put up an Architect. If you can't afford an Architect, take the Light Elemental. The Light Elementals are basically your fillers whenever the Architects either die or need to be replaced. But altogether, an Architect is always better than the Light Elemental, but you can't put out as many as you want out of these, so the Light Elementals are basically really good to fit your banks in between. Out of your summoned units, you have a lot of various different things at your disposal. They all fulfill the jobs as they usually do. Number 5, Cities and Imperium. With the Architect culture, we really want to secure ourselves one space and turtle up and win it from there, because you just simply can't win by building enough fully upgraded monuments, which not only give you tons of affinity, but also eventually count as gold monuments, which you can win with. So altogether, you want cities that can go really big and have a lot of material available, but most importantly, the most desirable thing for you are always magic materials. This is what you should be always orienting yourself around, and there's really nothing wrong with taking one of your heroes to a wild journey out somewhere out there and securing magical resources via outpost and fortifying the hell out of that. Eventually, you can also build teleporter provinces onto these, which brings me directly to Imperium spending. So our build is insanely astral heavy, and I would strongly recommend to pick up a different main affinity than Astral. This test run that I did, I picked up main Astral and I wasn't too happy. You could pick up any secondary. I would recommend Shadow, because Shadow just goes really a long way in so many different things that go well with Magic Origin units. I mean, Shadow Binding is only one of many, many good things. The knowledge generators here, down there, it's all very, very good. But since we are very struck with Order and Astral, there's a couple of things that we really can do. Adaptive Research should be on your list as soon as you can unlock it. It'll make everything cheaper, and it is oh so powerful in my opinion. The other thing, Casting Reserves, if you can unlock it, it is really powerful and nice to have. Astral Inspiration happens to be more useful than I like to admit it, and the Philosopher Soldiers is just so good. You see, we already mentioned that our Magic Origin units do level faster due to the trait that we picked. With Philosopher Soldiers, we start generating knowledge out of the recruitment or the rank ups of our units, which is just amazing. I really, really like that. And we can basically use all of the astral traits. If you want to go for the same path that I did here, know one thing, you will be at the end of the road before you know it, and you'll have way more points in this tree than you could possibly spend. Therefore, I really would recommend not to pick up Astral Affinity as your starting affinity. There's so many more good things. Materium would also be really nice because it makes your cities easier to build. The order side of things that we are into gives us domination over free cities if we have any infestations around us. We have also a really nice supply of Whispering Stone here. Here again, if you go side by side with Shadow, it even gets better. And altogether, the order side of things allows you to utilize vassals better and better, and most importantly, your troops in your roster gain experience faster. We don't have polearms, but we have shocks and shields, and here again, these generate then experience. So there's a lot of nice synergy inside that. So yeah, the rest is just usual vassal play. Altogether, try to get your Imperium down to these things as soon as you can and utilize your affinity gain in a way that it fits better than just overkilling it with Astral. Number 6, heroes. I personally find the most appealing choice as a main hero here to choose a Wizard King. With the Architect, Summoners, the Channeling Ritual is just too good to not pick it up. When it comes down to the classes, I found Elementalists extremely useful because, you know, that extra nuke helps you out a lot of the weak early phase that we got. But on the other side, I found Warlocks also to be amazing, as their transfer life ability and their availability of summons that are there right off the get-go, together with unstable summons. There's really a lot of good things in there, and their pacts are really good to either boost up your units or debuff the enemies. Warlocks are therefore also a really, really nice choice, and of course, Ritualists too. I would stick to the mage side of things, because I personally think Ritualists, Warlocks, and Elementalists play really, really well into this kind of build, but your mileage may vary. So number 7, what's the strategy? With this build, you want to grab up your cities as quick as you can that you want to build. Really be aggressive with securing your home turf, and then cement it and turtle up and get your footage down so the enemy can't disturb you anymore. I found it to be extremely important to capitalize early on the summoning. You know, we can summon so many units, and that is something why I find this build so extremely powerful. With just a handful of Storm Elementals combined with cultivators, I was able to breach through so many early game things. It was quite amazing. The moment we had staves of mending available, the whole thing went bonkers, and I was able to just conquer the whole thing just with tier 1 tomes. It just gets better and better the longer you play it. Just keep in mind that long term you want those monuments, and you want them to be upgraded as much as possible. Therefore, go for your whole expansion, for your whole explorations, mainly for the question, where's the magic materials and how can I secure them? It is totally okay to have more than 3 cities just to get the magic materials secured, or, like I said elsewhere, to go for outposts that you strongly defend. It is both absolutely okay and worth going for it. The other thing is that is very important. With the architects, you have a good way to fortify your cities and let the enemy come, because you will win on your own turf eventually. This does require 2 things though: a steady supply of Wonderstone and a good area to build your cities on. If you have neither of these, you will fail. So this is basically the point where your strategy should swap from defense to offense, so you can pick up the magic materials that you require, the settling grounds that you need for your metropolises. You get the idea. But apart from that, unlike other variants of the architects that I've been playing, this one comes off really, really strong right off the get-go due to the summons, and can dominate really early. You can pick up power over the free cities very quickly, and you should. And altogether, this is the summoning variant with the elementals. Feels like a really, really nice turbo kickstarter for this culture, and I can wholeheartedly recommend it. Alright, enough about that. Leave me your opinions, leave a like, leave a subscribe. Feel free to support my work on Ko-fi. This is the best ways and means to do it, but there's also other things down in the description box. Many a thanks go out to all of you people helping. And of course, lots of thanks for watching this video. Sorry for making it this time so long, there was just so much to say. See you all next time.